So you mentioned secularized parents. Well, obviously parents are vital to the Christian school. We're partners with them, but they are also our customers. And just being blunt, I mean, they do pay the bills. If they
Right.
don't come, we don't have customers, and then we struggle to exist. We want them to come. We want them to be pleased. But how do we handle that secularized element you mentioned? They want to
Yes.
be there, but maybe they want it a little different than the way we do it. How do you recommend schools, what do they do to offset that influx of, as you call it, secularized parents who are really pushing to influence the direction of the school? What do you think?
Right. And I mean, I think this is a critical issue right now for Christian education. Like I said, culture, school culture. If are you gonna have a Christian school? Or are you gonna have something less than that? And I think the quickest thing to change culture are parents who do not, share the values of the school. So what I've been recommending is, number one, in order to maintain your culture and not lose control, to secularized parents who might be good people, might be Christians. They're there for,
Sure, right.
unfortunately, a lot of them are not there for all the right reasons. You might say, they know it's a better education. They know it's safer. They know they don't have to worry about transgenderism, which
Right.
a lot of
Yeah,
them came
great
out
alternative.
because of the big issues, but they
Yeah,
don't understand the fundamental issues that separate Christian education from, non-Christian education. So I've been saying to schools, you've got to establish clear standards and convictions that you refuse to compromise as a school. So what shocks me is how many schools and heads of schools I've talked to. I talked to one head of school, and I think this guy's a great guy, but it shocked me. He said, "Well, I have this one homosexual young man in our school." That's what he said. He said he's a known homosexual. He wasn't dressing like a woman or anything. He said, and he's tried out for the cheerleading squad. And
oh,
we're having a hard time deciding, what ought to do with that. And so, I mean, this guy's a great guy, and he's not he's a conservative who stepped into a large school setting that isn't as conservative. Okay, he knows what he would do, but he was facing pressure, I guess, to let this kid, do again. I'm not going to go into all this stuff, but he wasn't going
sure.
to be one of the cheerleaders that's throwing girls in the air. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yep.
And he actually was kind enough to call me and say, "Well, Jeff, I need help here," and this kind of thing. So on that setting, I said, well, first of all, I wouldn't let a practicing homosexual attend my school. I mean, I'm not going to, if they're going to say that out loud, they're not going to be in my student body. As much as I love them, I'm not I don't hate anybody. So to me, that's the kind of thing that we're facing a lot of.
Yeah.
But we have to draw lines in the sand and say, no, this is what the Bible says. This is what we accept. We're not hateful. We love every human being, but in this school. So I think that's one thing. I think the second thing is these schools have to be willing to lose families who refuse to bring value to their school or resist the core principles of the school.
Mm, right.
I think and that's what I'm seeing lately. What I've been told by some of the schools whose attendance has dropped off, we're talking schools of 900 who are now down to maybe, if they were running 800 at peak, they're down to 780, 760.
Mm,
They're seeing,
right.
and here's what they told me: we're calling, we're kind of calling the herd. You might say that's a bad way to put it, probably, but they said we're just tightening the standards
Right.
and letting some families go who are just not a great fit.
Sure.
And we love to be liked. We love the tuition that comes,
That's all right.
from these kids. In this day, I'm Mr. Mercy. When I was running, when I was the pastor and head of school, I was the last guy to ever expel anybody. Matter of fact, I made them go through me before they ever could do it. However, I remember one time we built a new high school building. I think we added about 75 new high schoolers from the public school in like 1 year.
Wow.
And I remember the day my daughter came up to my office, my daughter was in high school, and she said, "We don't even have a Christian school anymore." I said, "What?" I mean, it shocked me. She said, "No, Dad, they're cursing. All our kids are cursing nonstop up and down the hallways." So I called my school administrator and I said, "What's going on back there?" And she said, "Well, you're Mr. Generous in letting everybody in. And you said, we got a brand new school building, we got to fill this thing up." And I did. And she said, "We've got some really tough kids." I said, "Do you have any of them who should be expelled? And you would have expelled them if it wasn't for me." She said, "Yes, I have 6 of them." I said, "You have them documented that, they should?" "Yes, they're all, their troubles are documented." I said, "Go kick them all out today." And I said, "Call an assembly for the high school middle and high school tomorrow." And she did. And I stood up before them. I said, "Look around you. There are 6 kids missing today, and you will be missing tomorrow. if you think you're going to curse in our hallways. And I said, this is a Christian school. You want to curse? Go back to your public school. They may let you do that. We will never. And I remember my teachers were like, Jeff, whatever you did, man, it was like that place changed in a moment.
A revival.
Now, so I had that experience years ago. It went rapid growth, but there's just tons of schools having rapid growth now. And then the third element when it comes to secularized parents is they've got to find a way to disciple and train parents so that they fully understand the mission and purpose of Christian education. This is what I've been saying for a long time to schools. We have too many parents, again, who are not there for the right reasons because they've never been trained. They don't understand what the difference between a biblical worldview education is and a secularized worldview education is. The core reasons why Christian education is so much better.
Enjoyed this short clip? That was just a sneak peek into a full episode on the Teacher Edition podcast. We are passionate about supporting Christian educators like you. Looking for more inspiration and practical strategies you could use today? Subscribe now wherever you get your podcasts. Brought to you by BJU Press.